Greetings once again, YouTube. It's Apple Stump Bushcraft Stuff and Things, back with another episode. We're going to be taking a look at one of my day packs. This is just a short hike pack, something that you'd put on your hip or waist to go out into the forest for a few hours. It has everything in it that I think I might need if I got stranded and needed to spend the night and get back to my camp or car the next day. So hang around, take a look, and see what happens. Alright, this is the pack right here, and this is one I picked up at a gun show for a decent price. You can see it's kind of a desert camo in color on the outside. It has a waist strap, or it can be carried as a shoulder bag. It can be carried on your hip in the back, or it can be carried on the side, however you like to position it. It has a couple of adjustment straps on the back right here, and you can tighten or loosen those depending on how stuffed the bag is. It has a couple of side compartments. It has a little bit of MOLLE webbing on the front, and it has a couple of places where you can put things like a pen or something else, little sleeves on the side. So let's get started. First we'll unbuckle the buckle in the front. I want to point out first of all we have a pen here, just a regular ballpoint ink pen with black ink, and on this side we have a flashlight, and it's just a little twist on LED, has a pretty good amount of light. I'll just put those back in where they were and put the pen back in its little pocket. Okay, so what's in the front? Take a look at that. Here we have the front pocket. So we have some provisions for basic emergency type situations. First of all, this is the bag from an MRE ration heater, and it's been rinsed out and dried, and now it's functioned as a water bag. I tested the volume of it and it comes out to about a liter. So with your water purification tablets, you fill this up to about here. Drop in the appropriate amount of tablets, whether you're using Katadyn or iodine tablets, and wait the prescribed amount of time and you have purified water. I have a couple of hand warmers here. These you just open up the foil package, expose them to the air, and they gradually get pretty warm. They're really nice to put in the pockets of your jacket if you're out in cold weather. You can also put them in your sleeping bag to keep you warm at night if you find yourself in that situation. And we have some pain relief tablets of different kinds. These are charcoal sticks, and this goes to a hand warmer that I have that uses these. Here we have a Bear Grylls brand fire steel. This one has not been used. Like that. And in the cap there's room for a cotton ball. You can also put Vaseline on that and make it a longer lasting tinder. And here we have an old, and this is old, this is vintage, Bucklight knife, folding knife. Clip point, has a nice sharp blade, and it's a lockback knife. So you push the button down here and fold it back up again. Has a nice nylon pouch that velcros together at the top, and a belt loop on the back. Belt loop right here, I'm going to stick my finger through it so you can see. Belt loop on the back. Cutting tool. And this is a double-sided emery board. This is good not only for what it's made to do, which is file your nails down, take care of those, but you can also use it to sharpen a knife blade, fish hooks, and other things like that. So it's multi-purpose. Here we have a packet of 6, maybe 5 fire starters. These are made, I believe, with like tissue paper soaked in paraffin. They're commercially made. I did not make them, but they work really well and they burn for 10 to 15 minutes. Give you a really good start on fire making. Here's a box of weatherproof matches, stormproof matches. So there's another way of making a fire. We have matches and we have a fire steel. And then we have 4 zip ties. This little pocket has a knife sharpener. It's just 2 ways of sharpening with ceramic bars in the middle. You do that. And it makes a pretty keen edge. And here we have some regular book matches. Another way of starting the fire. And a birthday candle. Earplugs, in case it gets too noisy in the forest and you need to get to sleep. This is a box cutter. This could come in handy for cutting things besides boxes. And this is a type where you can break off and get a new sharp point every about 10 times there. It also features a blade lock, so if you pull that back, this little button, you pull it back from there, the blade is immobilized. Push it forward and you can withdraw the blade back into the box cutter. So there's another way of cutting, another cutting tool. And there's some more birthday candles. I think there's 4 of them all together. And then you have a Light My Fire, or else it's a Coghlan's, I can't remember which, but it's another fire steel, pretty stout one. So there's another means of starting a fire. Alright, let's take a look at the side pocket here. Now in this one, I chose to put in a highly visible hunter orange vest. So it can be used for signaling by waving it around, attach it to a pole, or you can wear it for high visibility. Not necessarily while you're hunting, although it's good for that, and it's made for that. But also, it would serve the purpose of being found and seen by rescue personnel if they're on their way to try to find you. And the other item in this side pocket is a nice flashlight. There's a push button in the back. That's all that's in the side pocket. Now let's look at the other side pocket. MRE toilet paper. Now what's unique about this is that I've taken Coleman camp soap leaves, they come in a little dispenser, there's about 50 of them in a dispenser, and put those in between the paper cover and the actual paper tissue. So you have a means of washing your hands after you go to the bathroom, or a way to wash your hands or wash your face if you need to do that. So there's soap in each one of these, plus the tissue. And we have 4 of those in there. Now, I mentioned earlier these charcoal sticks, a way of keeping your hands warm, and this is what they go in. And you can see there's 2 of those in there. It doesn't need to be burned with 2. One of those would work, half of one of those would work for keeping your hands warm. But if you light both of them, and I would light one on one end, one on the other, they produce quite a bit of heat, and it's a welcome relief if you're inside of a shelter, it's cold outside, you don't have much of a covering, maybe just the clothes on you, maybe a space blanket. But this produces quite a bit of heat. There is some carbon monoxide involved with that, so you have to be careful that you have adequate ventilation when you use it. But this is a godsend if you're cold. This is a coffee filter. Just about any time except if you're way back in the wilderness, and maybe even in wilderness areas, you can find a can laying around. So if you've got a source of water, might be a little bit dirty or muddy, you can put this into the can, open it up, which I'm having trouble doing. It's a conical style. And you have a means of filtering out the larger particles out of the water. You'll still need to purify your water if you're worried about Giardia, Cryptosporidium, and some other nasty bugs being in the water. But there's a coffee filter anyway, and I recommend that any kit would have at least one of those. Here's a bag. Can be used for water collection. Can also be used for storing things in. And this is a little medication box in it. This has ibuprofen and another group of naproxen sodium. Here's a commercially prepared package of weatherproof matches along with a striker and some cotton balls. And this container itself is watertight. So there's another way of making a fire. 2 is 1, 1 is none, 3 is better, right? This is a little packet of MRE coffee. This is Taste Choice freeze-dried coffee. I am not a coffee drinker, but if I were cold, I wouldn't have any problem at all with heating some of that up and drinking it. And this is a package of MRE creamer. And here's another coffee filter. I always recommend having at least one. There's 2 of them. And last but not least, 4 Katadyn water purification tablets. Each one of those is good for a liter of water. So that would take care of a gallon of water, purifying it. Now, moving on to the main compartment. First up, have a rather well-stocked first aid kit. Some of the things that are in here are recapped in this. I'm not going to take everything out, but here's a candle. And we have a Swiss Army knife in there. This is one of the ones that has about 5 or 6 different functions on it. Screwdrivers, main blade, can opener, bottle opener, the small blade. It's got a toothpick and a tweezers, Phillips screwdriver, and I believe an awl on the back of it. This particular knife has never been used, but I have it there as a secondary or backup to my primary cutting tool, which was the buck knife. So some other things that are in here, there's some matches, there are bandages, small bandages, there's sterile 2x2 gauze. There are some medications in there, like I believe there's a couple of foil packets of triple antibiotic ointment. There are some vitamins. There are some regular adhesive bandages. I believe might be a 4x4 in there. Again, we have Katadyn water purification tablets and the ubiquitous space blanket in the back. So we do have a means of making a shelter, or at least keeping warm, with a space blanket. Well, this is the first item included in the main pouch of this pack. I'll put the candle back in. Candles are not only good for seeing in the dark, but you can also drip wax onto your tinder and make it burn a lot longer and a lot better. Another item we have in here is the Survive Out Longer Bivy. It's a very compact one. This will also keep you warm, and you could stuff the Mylar survival blanket inside of this and double your warming capacity. Or just use this and use the Mylar as a ground cover, put it on top of some boughs underneath your lean-to, and keep warm with that. Well, there's another item from the main pocket. Here we have a Lensatic compass for wayfinding. It has a rotating bezel so you can line up your true north and then line up your heading. And it has a sighting thread or line. And I haven't ever used it because I've never been lost. But if I were to get lost, that would come in handy. Another thing we have in the main compartment is just a flexible straw. Sometimes you might come across a little puddle of water that you need to get some water out of. You can not get your mouth down to it, but you can get a straw to it and suck the water up. Here we have Burt's Bees lip balm. Put a little bit of that on your tinder and it'll burn for quite a while. Primarily beeswax. Here we have a diamond steel for sharpening knives. Like that. I've had that about 30 years and it has not worn down in the least. I've used it quite a bit. So that's a means of sharpening knives. This is a UCAN Survive 2. This is a commercially prepared survival tin based on a small can like you might get almonds in or something like that. Snap-off lid makes it fairly waterproof. There's instructions in there, piece of paper. There's a fishing kit in there, matches, float for your fishing. And I also included this small knife, so here's yet another cutting tool. This is a very small one. It's relatively spring assisted, more or less. Blade comes out a little bit. That's a Balisong knife, and it only has about 1.5 inch blade, but that's plenty good for cutting open fish or doing some fine carving work. But it's a handy little extra knife to have. Comes in its own little pouch. And I won't take the rest of the contents out of this, but here's a fishing line, and there's hooks in there. There's little, I believe there's a bouillon cube in there and some other pretty handy things to have in a survival situation. And here's another one. I have not opened this. This is emergency candle. Maybe I did open it. Yeah, I did. And all it is a candle that'll probably burn all night long with a nice flame. Has a good wick on it. A package of matches and some survival instructions. This is also a commercial product. I've had these two for a long time. Never had to use either one of them, but I did open them just to see what was inside. And I also have another You Can Survive. I think there's a tea bag in there, a bouillon cube, a piece of candy or two, maybe some string, fish hooks, and other things like that that you could use to survive. So you'll notice that a lot of provisions here are doubled or even tripled, which is a good idea. This is something that I don't use, but it could be used for carrying an ember, and that is a cigar. I bought this several years ago, I don't know why. Still smells good, but it has its own little glass humidor with a plug in it. Again, if you light this and just let it burn on its own, you have an ember that you can carry from one place to another for maybe a half an hour. So that's the purpose of that. There's another flexible straw, and that does it. So that's all the pieces of this particular kit. And I think it's a very stout nylon, good tough bag. Again, you can put it on your hip, you can put it over your shoulder, you can strap it around and let it be like a fanny pack. All of this stuff weighs around 6 pounds, I guess. And I would also add to that my 1 liter canteen, and I would just put that on the belt and carry it on the side. That would be my source of water and also for water collection. That's a review of my 3-hour hike fanny pack that I take with me. It's well provisioned, well capable of sustaining you overnight to keep you safe and warm until you could get back to your camper vehicle. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you feel like doing that, and seeing more of our videos. And we'll catch you next time on Apple Stump Bushcraft Stuff and Things.